Hello everyone, and welcome back to Learn English, the place where you improve your English through real conversations, practical advice, and enjoyable listening. I'm Anna, and I'm so happy you've joined us today. Let me ask you a simple question. Have you ever wanted to say something in English, but your mind suddenly went blank? Or maybe you knew exactly what you wanted to say, but first, you translated every word from your native language into English. If your answer is yes, don't worry. You're definitely not alone. Today's episode might completely change the way you learn English. Because today, we're talking about one simple idea that can make a huge difference. Stop translating, and start thinking in English. To help us explore this topic, I'm joined once again by my good friend David. Hi David. Welcome back.
Hi Anna. It's always great to be here. And I have to say, this is probably one of my favorite topics because it completely changed my English journey.
Really? That's interesting. Tell us. When you first started learning English, did you always think in English? Or did you translate everything?
Oh. I translated absolutely everything. Every single sentence. Someone would ask me, "How was your day?" And instead of answering immediately, my brain started working like a translator. First, I understood the English. Then I translated it into my native language. After that, I thought about my answer. Then I translated my answer back into English. Finally, I spoke.
That sounds like a lot of work just to answer one simple question.
Exactly. And because my brain was doing so much work, I spoke very slowly. Sometimes there would be 5 or 6 seconds of silence before I answered. People probably thought I didn't understand English. But actually, I understood. I was just translating everything.
I think that's something almost every English learner experiences. Especially at the beginner and intermediate levels.
Yes. And here's the surprising part. Most learners think translating is helping them. They believe it's making them more accurate. But in reality, it's often slowing them down.
Why do you think that happens?
Because translation adds an extra step. Imagine you're driving somewhere. Normally, you drive straight to your destination. Now imagine that every 5 minutes you have to stop your car, get out, check a map, and then continue driving. Eventually, you'll arrive. But it will take much longer. That's exactly what translating does. It interrupts your thinking.
I really like that example. So instead of thinking naturally, we're constantly changing languages inside our minds.
Exactly. And the more you translate, the slower your speaking becomes. That's why many learners say, "I know English, but I can't speak quickly." The problem isn't vocabulary. The problem is the habit of translating.
That's a really important point. Because many people think they need to memorize more words. But maybe they simply need to trust the English they already know.
Absolutely. Fluency isn't only about knowing thousands of words. It's about using the words you already know, without stopping to translate.
So here's a question. If translating slows us down, how can we train our brains to think directly in English? Is it really possible?
It definitely is. But just like learning to ride a bicycle or learning to swim, it doesn't happen overnight. Your brain needs practice. The good news is, it's much easier than most people think.
I love hearing that. Because I know many of our listeners are thinking, that sounds impossible for me.
I used to think exactly the same thing. But once I changed the way I practiced English, everything became easier. Speaking became faster. Listening became easier. And most importantly, I started enjoying English much more.
That's exactly what we'll talk about next. In the next part of today's conversation, David is going to share the simple daily habits that helped him stop translating and start thinking naturally in English. And trust me, some of these tips might surprise you. So stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. Before the break, David explained why translating every sentence slows down your English. Now the big question is, How can we actually start thinking in English? David, where should someone begin?
The first thing I always tell people is this. Don't try to think in perfect English. Think in simple English. That's the biggest mistake learners make.
Can you give us an example?
Of course. Imagine you're drinking a cup of coffee. Many learners try to create long, complicated sentences like, I am currently enjoying a delicious cup of coffee while preparing myself for today's work. That sounds nice. But it's too difficult for everyday practice. Instead, just think. I'm drinking coffee. It's hot. It tastes good. I need more sugar. Simple. Natural. Fast.
I really like that. Sometimes we forget that native speakers also use simple sentences in daily life.
Exactly. Fluency isn't about using difficult words. It's about expressing your ideas comfortably.
So the goal isn't to sound like a dictionary.
Exactly. The goal is communication.
What's another exercise our listeners can try today?
One of my favorites is the mirror exercise. Stand in front of a mirror for 2 or 3 minutes. Look at yourself. Then introduce yourself as if you're meeting someone for the first time. For example, Hi, my name is David. I'm learning English. Today I'm feeling excited. I'm going to work after this. Don't worry about making mistakes. Just keep talking.
That sounds a little uncomfortable.
It does at first. I remember the first time I tried it. I felt silly. I even laughed at myself. But after a week, speaking English started feeling much more natural.
Why do you think that happens?
Because you're training your brain to create English without translating. Every sentence becomes a little easier.
You've mentioned before that stories helped you improve your English. Can you explain that?
Definitely. Instead of memorizing hundreds of vocabulary words, create small stories. For example, imagine you're looking at a picture of a park. Now tell yourself a story. A little boy is playing football. His father is watching him. A dog is running across the grass. 2 friends are sitting on a bench. You're practicing vocabulary, grammar, and speaking, all at the same time.
That's much more interesting than memorizing random words.
Exactly. Our brains remember stories much better than isolated vocabulary lists.
Let's talk about listening. Many learners spend hours reading grammar books, but very little time listening. Is listening really that important?
It's essential. Think about children. Before they ever speak, they spend months listening. Thousands of hours. That's how they naturally understand sentence patterns.
So listening teaches our brains how English actually sounds.
Exactly. When you listen every day, your brain starts recognizing common phrases automatically. Instead of translating, you simply understand.
So that's why podcasts are so useful.
Absolutely. Podcasts expose you to natural English. You hear real pronunciation, natural expressions, and everyday conversations. Even if you don't understand every word, keep listening. Your brain is learning more than you realize.
I've heard many language teachers talk about shadowing. What exactly is it?
Shadowing is one of the best speaking exercises. Here's how it works. Choose a short English audio. Listen to one sentence. Then immediately repeat it. Try to copy everything. The pronunciation, the speed, the rhythm, even the emotion.
So you're not just repeating words. You're copying the speaker.
Exactly. You're training your mouth and your brain together. At first, it feels difficult. But after a few weeks, your pronunciation improves naturally.
Did shadowing ever help you in a real situation?
Actually, yes. I remember visiting another country. I went into a small cafe. Normally, I would have spent 30 seconds translating my order. But because I'd practiced shadowing, the words came out naturally. I simply smiled and said, "Hi. I'd like a cappuccino and a sandwich, please. The waiter understood me immediately. The whole conversation lasted less than a minute.
That must have felt amazing.
It really did. That was the moment I realized. Thinking in English actually works.
I love that story. It's proof that small daily practice creates real confidence.
Exactly. Think about learning to ride a bicycle. Did you become perfect before you got on the bike? Of course not. You learned by riding. Sometimes you lost your balance. Sometimes you fell. But every attempt made you stronger. Learning English works the same way.
Earlier, you mentioned a 30-day challenge. Tell us about it.
I'd love to. Here's my challenge for everyone listening today. For the next 30 days, spend just 10 minutes every day thinking only in English. Not translating. Not checking every word. Just thinking.
What kinds of things should they think about?
Anything. Describe your room. Describe your breakfast. Talk about your plans. Think about your favorite movie. Imagine you're talking to a friend. The topic doesn't matter. The habit does.
That sounds much easier than many people expect.
Exactly. People often believe they need expensive courses or perfect study plans. But the truth is, your brain learns through repetition. Small practice. Every single day.
There's another problem I often notice. People panic when they can't remember a word. What should they do?
That's completely normal. Even native speakers forget words sometimes. Instead of stopping, explain your idea differently. For example, if you forget the word umbrella, don't panic. Just say, the thing I use when it rains. Communication is much more important than perfect vocabulary.
That's a great tip. You're teaching your brain to stay in English instead of switching languages.
Exactly. That's the goal. Stay inside English. Even if your English is simple.
I think many learners underestimate their progress.
I agree. Sometimes people say, I've been studying English for 6 months, but I'm not fluent yet. Then I ask them, could you have understood this podcast 6 months ago? Most of them smile and say, no. That's progress. Maybe it's slow, but it's real.
That's something we all need to remember. Learning a language is a journey, not a race.
Exactly. Don't compare yourself with someone who's been learning English for 10 years. Compare yourself with the person you were last month. If you're a little better today, you're moving in the right direction.
Before we finish today's episode, I have one final question. Imagine someone is listening right now. They're feeling frustrated. They think they'll never become fluent. What would you like to say to them?
I'd tell them this. Don't focus on speaking perfect English. Focus on speaking English. Every sentence you speak is one step forward. Every mistake is a lesson. Every conversation builds confidence. One day, you'll suddenly realize something amazing. You're no longer translating. You're simply thinking. And that's the moment English starts feeling natural.
That's such a powerful message. And I'd like to add one more thing. If you're listening to this podcast today, you're already improving. Every minute you spend listening to English trains your brain. So don't quit. Keep showing up. Keep listening. Keep speaking. And most importantly, enjoy the process.
Exactly. Remember, English isn't just another subject. It's a skill. And every skill improves with practice, not perfection.
Well said. David, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Anna. It's always a pleasure. And thank you to everyone who's listening. I hope today's conversation encourages you to stop translating and start thinking in English.
And thank you to all of our wonderful listeners around the world. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with a friend who's learning English. Every week, we bring you natural English conversations designed to help you improve your listening, vocabulary, pronunciation, and confidence. Until next time, keep learning, keep speaking, keep believing in yourself. This is Speak English Naturally podcast. Signing off.
Take care, everyone.
Goodbye, and see you in the next episode.